Welcome to Tiny Epics. This episode is all about Zeus, king of both gods and men, who resides high above the clouds on Mount Olympus. The clip you see here is from the film Immortals, by the way, and shows just what happens when Zeus gets seriously triggered. In works of art over the centuries, he's usually represented as a bearded man of noble and imposing appearance. His thunderbolts often seen ready at hand, just in case, and the proud eagle at his side, another symbol of his royal and divine authority. In ancient Olympia, there once stood a magnificent temple dedicated to Zeus. It lies in ruins today, but in the 5th century BC, it would have looked something like this. Although splendid from the outside, inside, it housed a statue of the god by the famous Athenian sculptor named Phidias. It was colossal at over 40 feet high, made of ivory and gold, and was such a masterpiece of art that it was counted among the original 7 wonders of the world. Zeus became supreme ruler after a 10-year battle, which was fought between himself, aided by the other Olympian gods, and the Titans, also called the Elder Gods, who were of enormous size and incredible strength, and who ruled the universe for untold ages. The bloody, violent, and destructive conflict is known as the Titanomachy, meaning War of the Titans. The ancient Greek poet Hesiod wrote about it, saying, "They launched their grievous shafts upon one another, and the cry of both armies as they shouted reached to starry heaven, and they met together with a great battle cry." He also wrote that Zeus no longer held back his might. His heart was filled with fury, and he showed forth all his strength. From heaven and from Olympus he came, hurling his lightning. The whole thing's a rather complicated story involving multiple generations of gods, which I've already touched upon in previous episodes, but for now, all you need to know is that the younger generation of gods, known as the Olympians, eventually defeated the Titans. Afterwards, they banished and imprisoned some of the Titans to a deep pit in the earth called Tartarus, and became the new rulers of the universe. The renowned classicist Edith Hamilton tells us what happened after the new gods in town took over. She wrote, "Zeus and his brothers drew lots for their share of the universe. The sea fell to Poseidon, and the underworld to Hades. Zeus became the supreme ruler. He was lord of the sky, the rain god, and the cloud gatherer, who wielded the awful thunderbolt. His power was greater than that of all the other divinities together. In the Iliad, he tells his family, 'I am mightiest of all. Make trial that you may know. Fasten a rope of gold to heaven and lay hold every god and goddess. You could not drag down Zeus, but if I wished to drag you down, then I would.' But he's much more than just brute strength alone. The ancient Greek mind poetically ascribed the awesome display of lightning and all natural phenomena of the sky as caused by Zeus, their chief god. With thunder and lightning also came the rain which fertilized the fields and crops. Without Zeus, not much could happen here on Earth as far as the Greeks were concerned. But it wasn't just the weather they were talking about. His burst of lightning from the heavens could also be interpreted inwardly as a sudden, unexpected, and overpowering change in the psychic condition. The bolt of electric energy seen in the heavens corresponded to the electricity of the mind, body, and spirit. Everything we do is controlled by electrical signals running through our bodies, making it possible for us to move, think, and feel. So it's no wonder that an ancient hymn to Zeus said that by his thunderbolt strikes, all the works of nature happen, and that not a single thing that is done on earth happens without him. The hymn also goes on and says, "Protect human beings from their ruinous ignorance. Zeus, scatter it from our souls. Grant that we might obtain true judgment on which you rely to steer all things with justice. So, as the animating force of the universe and upholder of heavenly laws, Zeus really shines. Where he doesn't shine so brightly is in the faithful husband department.
You got me. No, man. I turn into animals and have sex with chicks all the time.
He transforms himself into a swan and mates with Leda. He ravishes an imprisoned woman named Danae in the form of a golden shower. And as an eagle, he swoops down and abducts a male youth named Ganymede. And that's merely scratching the surface. In the myths, we often see the comedic trope of Zeus as the cheating husband along with his perennially jealous wife Hera. The old cliché of the womanizing Zeus also shows up in much more recent times too, like in this cartoon clip from 1933, in which a lecherous bearded man pursues Betty Boop, who tries to fend off his unwanted advances.
Old man of the mountain.
Being driven wild by his sexual desires seems to have been a way to humanize Zeus, which says a lot about humanity. And it was a way to poke fun at him too, seeing that his wife Hera makes him pay for his betrayals on more than one occasion. I in no way intend to make light of unwanted advances in sexual assault, which are incredibly serious topics. There's certainly a lot that's disturbing about Greek mythology, just as there is in our real world today. But I ask you, should we cancel Greek mythology and everything that offends us? Or should we rather examine what it is about such stories that makes us so uncomfortable? After all, the Greek myths show us how easy it is to forget and therefore repeat the sins of the father. It's also important to remember that the world of myth is not the same world you and I see when we look out the window. In other words, the stories and images we encounter in mythology are symbolic and are almost never meant to be taken literally. That said, the stories do, of course, in some ways reflect what was going on in the real world at the various times in which they were composed.
Behave yourself.
On a much lighter note, remember how Zeus was portrayed as a doting father in Disney's Hercules?
Look how cute he is.
Here, keep those away from the baby.
Oh, he won't hurt himself. Let the kid have a little fun.
I read that a lot of critics complained about the mythological inaccuracies of this movie, but some pointed out that showing Zeus as a faithful family man was about the most far-fetched inaccuracy of them all. But in some ways, it's not so far-fetched and simply shows another side of Zeus's character, as the loving heavenly father who takes a paternal interest in the actions and well-beings of mortals. He makes sure everything runs smoothly and sometimes punishes misdeeds, but he isn't a tyrant. As father of the gods, he sees that each deity performs his or her duty, settles their disputes, and acts towards them most often as their counselor and friend. Well, that wraps up this introduction to Zeus. We'll get into many more details about his myths in future videos, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Until then, there are plenty of other gods and goddesses to explore in my Greek mythology playlist. As always, thank you so much for watching. Take care and stay epic.